Chapter 386. 3 Ultimate Stages of the Saint Realm. 3 Ultimate Stages of the Saint Realm. Stage 1 refers to the pinnacle of the Saint Realm but with ordinary strength. Such warriors at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm just meet the requirements of origin perception, and they only have mediocre manuals and techniques. Like the 3 experts at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm of the Luo family, they all belong to this level. In the entire Divine Land, the warriors at Stage 1 of the pinnacle of the Saint Realm are most numerous. Lei Dao slowly narrated. But Stage 2 is much stronger than Stage 1. Stage 2 generally means the warriors at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm who have reached an extremely high level of the origin perception and have condensed their origin marks. Origin mark? Jian Wushuang was stunned. Like this. Lei Dao lifted his hand. At this moment, Jian Wushuang noticed that there was a mark like a purple thunderbolt on Lei Dao's arm. I perceived the thunderbolt origin, so I can condense the thunderbolt mark. Lei Dao continued, after condensing your origin mark, your power will greatly rise when you generate origin energy. At the same time, the warriors at Stage 2 of the pinnacle of the Saint Realm own more powerful magic weapons, manuals, or techniques. Of course, this is a normal situation. Some people who have not condensed their origin marks, however, still possess battle strength that can compare with that at Stage 2. Like you, who have not condensed an origin mark, but still own a very powerful physique. Your battle strength is not weaker than mine, although I have the origin mark. Jian Wushuang did not know how to react. His body was really a great advantage. And what about Stage 3? Jian Wushuang asked. Stage 3 is quite incredible. The warriors at Stage 3 of the pinnacle of the Saint Realm not only own unusual magic weapons, treasures, and techniques, but also have higher perception of the origin. Generally, they have more than 3 origin marks at least. As for their battle strength, they are more than 10 times stronger than those at Stage 2. I have fought against and exchanged with experts at Stage 3 more than once, but we were not at the same level. Lei Dao smiled bitterly. So strong? Jian Wushuang was surprised secretly. Actually, above Stage 3, there is another level which is even more incredible at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. Lei Dao suddenly said. Oh. Stronger than Stage 3? Jian Wushuang looked towards him immediately. Yes, those warriors at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm are called heaven-defying level. Lei Dao said with a sense of admiration in his eyes. The warriors at that level of the pinnacle of the Saint Realm are really monsters at the Saint Realm. Not only in the Iron Saber territory, but even in the entire Divine Land, they are rare. Those monsters are called at the heaven-defying level, not only because they own extremely high perception of the origin. What's more important is that they have awakened another kind of unusual power, the power of soul. Soul? Jian Wushuang was astonished. You mean sword soul, saber soul, etc.? Yes, you know about that? Lei Dao turned to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang replied with a faint smile. He felt very strange. Regarding the sword soul, he did not only know about it. He had awakened the sword soul himself, and his sword soul was the double first-grade sword soul. There are some experts who have awakened the soul. Take the sword soul as an example. After awakening the sword soul, you can condense the sword soul phantom, which can make your strength rise explosively, just like an expert of Stage 3. If you awaken the sword soul, your battle strength can dramatically rise several times with the force of the sword soul. Naturally, you can be regarded as at the heaven-defying level. Lei Dao said. Jiang Wushuang agreed with Lei Dao's words to the bottom of his heart. Having condensed the sword soul phantom, he indeed could make his strength dramatically rise with the force of the sword soul, which was powerful and overwhelming. The heaven-defying level is the most powerful being at the Saint Realm. Above that is the higher Cloud Realm. Lei Dao said. Cloud Realm. Jian Wushuang nodded quietly. Above the Saint Realm is the Cloud Realm. Jian Wushuang knew this. As for the heavenly creation skill, what is after Venerable Master is flying to the 9th heaven. Flying to the 9th heaven corresponded to the Cloud Realm. What a shame. Although both of us are at the level of the pinnacle of the Saint Realm, we are far from the Cloud Realm. Lei Dao sighed. What he said were the facts. It seemed that the pinnacle of the Saint Realm was just a step away from the Cloud Realm. Actually, However, this step included a lot of twists and turns. It was never easy to break through and reach the cloud realm. I haven't condensed the origin mark, but I have a strong body. Due to the power given by the heavenly creation skill, I can rival Lei Dao, who is at stage 2. Yet, in fact, I still have many trump cards. Jian Wushuang thought. Just now when they fought, Lei Dao said he had not displayed his most powerful techniques, but Jian Wushuang had reserved even more techniques. For example, there were his Azura secret skill, multifold realm, and a lot of sword skills. Moreover, he had awakened the double first-grade sword soul, which he also had not displayed. He had not used the triple kill sword, which was a first-grade weapon, either. According to what Lei Dao said, I own the battle strength of stage 2 just with my body and the heavenly creation skill. If I applied the Azura secret skill, the yellow spring road, and the multifold realm to create domain suppression, I should be able to rival those experts at the top of stage 2. If I additionally used the force of the sword soul, maybe, I could compete with the experts at stage 3. Jian Wushuang thought secretly. Of course, this was only based on what Lei Dao said. He had to make some guesses and judgment about his own strength. Yet, whether his current strength could really reach stage 3 could not be confirmed until he really fought a stage 3 expert. By the way, Swordsman, you have just arrived at the Divine Land. Have you found a place to stay? Lei Dao suddenly turned to Jian Wushuang. You're right, I haven't. Jian Wushuang nodded. Ha, so why don't you go to the Lord of the Territory just like me? Lei Dao said. Lord of the Territory? Iron Saber Lord? Jian Wushuang frowned. Yes. Lei Dao laughed. The Iron Saber Lord is a top expert at the Cloud Realm. He has a good reputation in the entire Divine Land. What's more important, he is very kind and nice, so there are a lot of experts gathered in his territory. You may think the 6 large families, the middle families and the small families are all powerful. Actually, anyone clearly knows that the most terrifying person is the Iron Saber Lord, and his Iron Saber army has gathered the most experts. For example, in the Luo family, one of the 6 families, there are about a dozen experts of the Saint Realm, including 3 at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. It looks powerful. In fact, however, the Luo family is nothing in front of the Iron Saber army, who can randomly send a few warriors to easily destroy the Luo family. There are a lot of experts in the Iron Saber territory, but frankly speaking, more than 90% of the top experts in the territory have been gathered in the Iron Saber army. And that is where an expert like you should stay. Chapter 387. Iron Saber Lord. Iron Saber Army? More than 90% of the top experts in the Iron Saber territory are gathered there. Jian Wushuang showed his interest. How about my suggestion? Would you consider it? Lei Dao looked at Jian Wushuang with a smile. I don't need to consider. I've decided. I'll go to the Iron Saber Army. Jian Wushuang directly answered. He was naturally belligerent. The place where experts gathered like the Iron Saber Army was just what he dreamed of. Therefore he did not need to think about it. I guessed that you would be interested. Lei Dao laughed brightly, and then he raised his glass. Come, Swordsman. Let's have a drink. Jian Wushuang also raised his glass with a smile. And just as Jian Wushuang and Lei Dao were drinking and chatting, a strange energy fluctuation suddenly came from the nearby courtyard. Well, this is? Both Jian Wushuang and Lei Dao were surprised. Then they immediately moved their bodies and appeared in the void. Through the void, the two could clearly see Lin Lan in the courtyard, whose breath had surged up. Divine transcendence? Jian Wushuang's eyes were brightening. Ha, Swordsman, congratulations. You've accepted a good disciple. Lei Dao congratulated Jian Wushuang at once. Jian Wushuang responded with a smile. Actually, he was very happy to see that. Lin Lan was extremely talented and had been qualified to pursue the Saint Realm even 2 years ago. However, due to the witch poison, she had not successfully broken through. Instead, her realm had fallen drastically. Now, the witch poison had been removed by Jian Wushuang. When Lin Lan's realm had recovered, she was naturally closer to the Saint Realm. Actually, there was only a paper-thin barrier to cross. As soon as the thin piece of paper was broken, Lin Lan naturally passed through. Before long, the aura of Lin Lan in the courtyard slowly calmed down, and her eyes opened. She looked up at Jian Wushuang and bowed respectfully. "Master." "Good." Jian Wushuang responded with a slight smile, stepping down with Lei Dao. "I thought it would take some time for you to break through the Saint Realm again after your strength was recovered, but now it seems I have really underestimated you. It's all due to Master removing the witch poison for me. Otherwise, I would never break through the Saint Realm. I'm afraid it wouldn't have been long before I fell into the primordial gold core." Lin Lan was humble but confident. "I can only help you this time. In the future, you have to rely on yourself." Jian Wushang glanced at Lin Lan and said, "I have promised to Brother Lei Dao that I would go to the Iron Saber Lord and join the Iron Saber Army. What about you? What's your plan?" "Me?" Lin Lan frowned. And then, she relaxed and seriously said, "I intend to travel the world by myself." "Oh." Jian Wushuang nodded quietly. "That's all right. I will always be busy cultivating, and have no time to arrange for your practice. If you continue to follow me, it may not be a good thing." After saying that, Jian Wushuang turned his palm upside down and gave an interspatial ring to Lin Lan. "Inside the interspatial ring, there are some treasures you may use. You take it. In the future, when you travel around the world yourself, you should take care and never lose your life." "Thank you so much, Master." Lin Lan accepted the interspatial ring and nodded respectfully. "Go." Jian Wushuang waved his hand. Lin Lan knelt down at this moment and kowtowed heavily 3 times towards Jian Wushang, and then directly left. "She is such a beautiful disciple. You don't let her stay with you, but just let her leave alone." Lei Dao playfully looked at Jian Wushuang. "Young eagles can only fly when they spread their wings. What's more, I am a big man, and if I'm always followed by a beautiful female disciple, what does it mean?" Jian Wushang spread out his hands. "You are aware?" Lei Dao glanced at Jian Wushang, followed by a somewhat strange question. "In fact, I wonder how old you are. Your strength is so powerful, so you should be old, but you look so young." "This is a secret." Jian Wushang smiled slightly and did not answer to him. "That's okay if you don't want to say." Lei Dao curled his mouth. "Let's go. I'll lead you to see the Lord of the Territory." Before long, Jian Wushuang set out with Lei Dao, going to the place where the Iron Saber Lord lived. The Iron Saber Territory was very vast, which was somewhat larger than the Nanyang continent. Iron Saber Lord lived on a long mountain range, on which there were many buildings. Jian Wushang and Lei Dao moved at full speed, but it still took 3 full days before they arrived. "Swordsman, you'll see the Lord of the Territory at once," Lei Dao said. "Iron Saber Lord." There was a sense of expectation in Jian Wushang's eyes. "I have heard that the experts at the Cloud Realm could easily kill experts at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm by just a lifting of his hand. In the vast divine land, he could be regarded as an overlord being. But I've never seen an expert at the Cloud Realm. Perhaps Iron Saber Lord would be the first expert at the Cloud Realm I would see in my life. That is Huayo Palace, where the Lord lives." Lei Dao pointed to a towering palace in the distance, which was almost all black. The palace was sending out golden ripples in circles, sweeping through all directions. Its pressure surprised Jian Wushuang. "Follow me and head down." Lei Dao laughed. Jian Wushang nodded, and then landed in the front of Huayo Palace following Lei Dao. There were some guards, whose strength even astonished Jian Wushuang, in front of the Huayo Palace. The Saint Realm. The guards were experts at the Saint Realm. In the entire Iron Saber territory, probably only the Iron Saber Lord had the qualification to employ them. The guards didn't stop Lei Dao and Jian Wushuang when they saw them. "Is the Lord in the palace?" Lei Dao asked. "The Lord is holding a meeting with 2 army masters and some commanders." A guard respectfully answered. Lei Dao nodded. "Swordsman, let's come in." Then, following Lei Dao, Jian Wushang directly stepping into the Huayo Palace. Huayo Palace was extremely huge. Following Lei Dao, Jian Wushang came to the main hall of the Huayo Palace. As soon as he entered, Jian Wushang saw several figures standing and sitting in both sides of the hall. These people possessed incomparably terrifying aura, much more powerful than those of the ordinary pinnacle of the Saint Realm. Experts. All of these people were experts. Not one of them is weaker than Lei Dao. Some are even stronger. Jian Wushuang was terrified. In the entire hall, the most frightening being for Jian Wushuang was an untidy and somewhat slovenly black-haired man sitting at the top. The black-haired man was sending out waves, with the oppressive feeling just like being pressured by a whole world. This man is Lord of the Iron Saber territory? Jian Wushuang looked at the black-haired man, just as the latter also looked at him. Suddenly, Jian Wushuang just felt a flash of thunderbolt across his head, and his whole body was completely overwhelmed. Terrifying. Just a look, and Jian Wushuang felt heart-stopping fear. This was the absolute strength of an expert at the Cloud Realm. Chapter 388, The 13th Commander. Lord. Lei Dao respectfully saluted and introduced, "This is Swordsman, who has just arrived at the Divine Land from the outside continent. He is here to join your army." Lord. Jian Wushuang also respectfully saluted. "Before coming here, I have fought against Swordsman, and he has the battle strength at Stage 2. Lei Dao said continually. Stage 2? Iron Saber Lord at the top of the hall nodded slightly. My Iron Saber army is a place where a lot of experts are gathered. An expert at Stage 2 of the pinnacle of the Saint Realm is strong enough to be a commander. However, whether you swordsmen really have such strength needs to be tested." Mo Dong. A cold and tough man appeared in front of Jian Wushuang at once. "Swordsman, this is a law of the Iron Saber army. I hope you understand." Lei Dao looked at Jian Wushuang. I understand." Jian Wushuang nodded. The cold and tough man was staring at Jian Wushuang. "Swordsman, be careful." As the voice fell, a flush of skyrocketing power surged up from Mo Dong's body, who appeared in front of Jian Wushuang in a flash. Then, his right hand became a claw and attacked Jian Wushuang like a lightning. The fingertips slashed across the void, causing a shrill noise. The void seemed to be torn in half by this swift claw. Watching this claw, the Lonely Heart sword appeared in Jian Wushuang's hand. Then, an extremely fierce stab was extended out. At the moment of this thrust, a mighty killing intent swept through the whole hall. It was so strong that many experts in the hall looked askance at it. The killing intent is so strong. It means that his perception of the slaughter origin is extremely high, but he is still far from condensing the origin mark. The experts around were all peak experts above Stage 2, who had very high perceptions. In one glance, they could judge Jian Wushuang's degree of origin perception. Clang! A low and heavy sound of a collision was heard. At the same time, the point where the sword light met the claw was still faintly ablaze with flames. Hum! Mo Dong coldly snorted, and then spread out his two palms at the same time, and threw himself towards Jian Wushuang like an eagle. With a solemn face, Jian Wushuang waved his Lonely Heart sword and directly defended. Clang! 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 There were several continuous collisions, making clashing noises one after another echoing through the hall. After the last collision, Mo Dong stretched out his claw, which Jian Wushuang had no time to block and had to respond with his left fist. As a result, both of them were explosively forced back. You haven't condensed the origin mark, but when your strength erupts, you are much stronger than those at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. Moreover, your physique is incredible. Your overall strength is not weaker than ordinary Stage 2 experts. Mo Dong solemnly looked at Jian Wushuang. When he fought against Jian Wushuang, he also felt an unusual pressure from this expert. The experts around in the hall all laughed at this scene. Obviously, they all recognized Jian Wushuang's strength. At the top of the hall, Lord of the Iron Saber territory looked at Jian Wushuang with a smile on the corners of his mouth, thinking secretly. Mo Dong did not do his best, but this swordsman, I'm afraid, has all hidden his strength. If he uses all his strength, it is not a problem to have a firm foothold at Stage 2 of the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. Swordsman. Iron Saber Lord looked down. Jian Wushuang immediately looked up. From today, you will be the 13th commander of the No. 1 army. Iron Saber Lord said in a grand voice. Thank you so much, Lord. Jian Wushuang said immediately. Qing. Iron Saber Lord said. Then a cyan-robed middle-aged man with steady aura walked out. You are the general of number 1 army. Now, Swordsman will be under your command. It's your duty to tell him the regulations of the Iron Saber army. Iron Saber Lord ordered. Yes. Qing nodded respectfully. You can go. Iron Saber Lord waved his hand, with his figure slowly became more and fainter before finally disappearing. Such a marvelous skill. Jian Wushuang was shocked by this. The commanders and experts in the hall also began to leave. Swordsman. Qing walked to Jian Wushuang. General. Jian Wushuang slightly opened his mouth. Through the dialogue between Iron Saber Lord and Qing, Jian Wushuang had known that Qing was the general of number 1 army, and he himself was number 9 commander under Qing's command. You have just arrived at the Iron Saber army. There is something about the army I need to tell you about, but now I'll lead you to see your people. Qing said. People? Jian Wushuang was surprised. Swordsman. Each commander in the Iron Saber army could command a team of warriors. The number is not large. It's only a 100-person team. Yet a single small team like this could easily destroy the Luo family, one of the 6 families. Lei Dao smiled aside. Oh. Jian Wushuang became curious. Lei Dao, come together with us. Qing said, and then he left the hall. Jian Wushuang and Lei Dao were following and talking in a low voice. Lei Dao, our general seems to be agreeable and modest. Jian Wushuang said. Of course. Lei Dao smiled. General Qing has a very high reputation and not bad temperament in the Iron Saber army. Of course, that's just for us. When he faces the enemy, the situation will be different. What's more, General Qing has powerful strength. He is a peak expert at Stage 3. Stage 3? Jian Wushuang was shocked. If he used all his trump cards and did his best, maybe he could rival the experts at Stage 3 now. Actually, not only General Qing but also all the commanders in the Iron Saber army are similar. Lei Dao said, after all, most experts in the Iron Saber army are from outside the Divine Land. They have reached the peak and have no pursuit in the remote continents, and then come to the vast Divine Land. In the remote continents, the cultivation conditions are not as good as in the Divine Land. That they could get to the peak there means they have experienced many years of cultivation. All of them are as old as monsters. They are different from the youngsters in the Divine Land, who dare to do anything relying on some strength. That's it? Jian Wushuang smiled. Guided by General Qing, it didn't take long for Jian Wushuang to arrive at an army camp. There were some sergeants in black armor in the camp. Armor. Jian Wushuang's expression was weird. In the Iron Saber army, the ordinary sergeants need to wear armor according to the rule, while the experts above commander could wear whatever they want. There are no such rules for them. General Qing explained aside. When Jian Wushuang and the other 2 people turned up in the army camp, a call was sent out and the entire camp erupted. Numerous black-armored sergeants walked out of their camp tents. Very quickly they stood in orderly lines on the vacant field of the drill ground. 20 black-armored sergeants stood in a line, and there were 5 lines, so the number was just 100. Chapter 389, Demon Heart Canyon. Those sergeants are all experts at the Saint Realm? Jian Wushuang could not help but be shocked by the 100 sergeants in black armor. Of the 100 sergeants who had reached the Saint Realm, 5 had achieved the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. It was no wonder Lei Dao dare say that the Iron Saber army could casually choose a squad of 100 experts to wipe out one of the 6 families, the Luo family. Swordsman, now you're the commander of this team. General Qing glanced at Jian Wushuang. Then he looked toward the sergeants. Listen, General Qing said, this is your commander. His name is Swordsman. The words caused turmoil among the sergeants. Swordsman? He is our new commander? He looks so young. Too young? He might be older than us. It's just because he retains his youthful look. To be commanders of the Iron Saber army, they must be super experts. That's true. The minimum requirement for a commander of the Iron Saber army is to reach Stage 2 of Pinnacle of the Saint Realm. They're much stronger than us. The sergeants were whispering while observing Jian Wushuang closely. Swordsman, you can have a chat with your people. After you know them well, you can go to Demon Heart Canyon with me, General Qing said. Demon Heart Canyon? Jian Wushuang had a look of curiosity. Our army's primary task is to protect Demon Heart Canyon. General Qing explained. Understood. Jian Wushuang nodded. Then he walked toward his sergeants. Watching their commander coming over, some of the sergeants shouted out, "Commander, please take care of us. Commander, we will follow you from now on. I pay my respects to you. I wonder whether you're married. Xianxia, don't flirt with our commander." Most of the sergeants were bold and forthright, only a few had an indifferent character. Jian Wushuang warmly said hello to the sergeants. During the greetings, he remembered 5 sergeants' names. They were the 5 experts at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. Each of them took charge of a squad of 20 members. After half a day, Jian Wushuang knew more about his team. Swordsman, lead your people to Demon Heart Canyon with me. General Qing, who had been waiting beside him, gave an order. Okay. Jian Wushuang nodded. He immediately set off with his team. Demon Heart Canyon, which was located on the border of the Iron Saber territory, was a massive canyon. After arriving at Demon Heart Canyon, Jian Wushuang immediately saw a huge campsite, full of sergeants. Long lines of tents were present. According to the number of tents, he estimated the sergeants at more than 1,000. So many people? All of them are experts of the Saint Realm? Jian Wushuang marveled at the number of sergeants. At this moment, he noticed another campsite on a mountain opposite to the campsite of Iron Saber Army, and their sergeants all wore silver armor. That is. Jian Wushuang frowned while watching the opposite campsite. That's the Silver-Winged Army, led by Silver Wing Lord, General Qing said. Silver Wing Lord. Jian Wushuang raised his brows. He also knew that the Silver Wing territory was next to the Iron Saber territory, and that Silver Wing Lord was also a top expert of the Cloud Realm, not weaker than their lord. Silver-Winged Army camped opposite us. They are fighting with us? Jian Wushuang asked in surprise. No, General Qing shook his head and said, we all belong to Marquis Piaoxue, which means that we're the same camp. If we don't have a grudge against each other, our 2 armies won't fight. They're here because a cave mansion appeared in Demon Heart Canyon not long ago. Cave mansion? Jian Wushuang was shocked. General Qing continued, the cave mansion was left by a Cloud Realm expert, who was even stronger than Iron Saber Lord and Silver Wing Lord. After the cave mansion emerged, the 2 lords all came over and wanted to explore it, but they found the cave mansion being protected by a formation. The formation is powerful. The 2 lords tried their best, but could not break it, so they have to wait until the formation disappears automatically. Since the cave mansion was found, the formation has started quickly dissipating. It must break soon, so Iron Saber Lord asked our first Amy to guard here. Once it breaks, we will immediately occupy it. Maybe we can't take it all, but at least we took the initiative. Jian Wushuang immediately understood. The Silver-Winged Army must think in the same way as the Iron Saber Army. Swordsman. General Qing looked toward Jian Wushuang. The power is respected in the vast divine land, as well as in the Iron Saber Army. There are many aggressive warriors in our army. You're the commander and will face some challenges. You cannot refuse these challenges. It's fine if you lose to the other commanders. But don't be defeated by ordinary sergeants, or you will be laughed at by them. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded while looking forward to it in his heart. He was also keen to battle, especially when he met real experts. The Iron Saber Army was full of experts. Lay Dao, the rest of things is up to you, General Qing said, and then he left. Haha, Swordsman, let me show you around our campsite, Lay Dao said with a smile. Then he took Jian Wushuang to the campsite. Lots of sergeants in black armor gathered in 2s and 3s. Some of them were chatting, some were drinking, most of them were cultivating in the tents. Lay Dao and Jian Wushuang attracted the attention of the sergeants. They all fixed their eyes on Jian Wushuang. He doesn't wear armor, but a black robe. He is a new commander. He looks too young. Tut, a new commander. What about his strength? Jian Wushuang walked forward and could notice that their eyes sparkled with eagerness. Chapter 390. Challenge. Swordsman, wait and see. Some of them will challenge you soon, Lei Dao said in a low voice. Jian Wushuang wore a faint smile, with a flicker of battle intent in his eyes. He thought with eager expectation. Come on, the more, the better. He had lived in the Nanyang continent. It was a remote continent, so supreme experts were limited, but that was a different situation in the Divine Land. He was eager for this land because he desired to fight with the top experts from the Divine Land. Since he stepped on this island, he had fought several times, but he had not used his full strength. Furthermore, he had not experienced a really challenging fight. Lei Dao and Mo Dong were powerful enough to be taken seriously, but the two experts had made only tentative attacks on Jian Wushuang, so they had not had all-out fights. He yearned to fiercely battle real top experts. While Jian Wushuang was thinking about it, a black figure appeared in front of them. There he is. Lei Dao's eyes lit up. A bald man was in black armor, which meant he was just an ordinary sergeant. Commanders, Huang Fu Hao pays my respects to you, the bald man said while bowing to them. What's up? Lei Dao pretended not to know his intent. You are a new commander, right? May I know your name? Huang Fu Hao asked. I'm Swordsman. It's true that I've just become the commander of the Iron Saber Army, Jian Wushuang replied. Commander Swordsman, I've recently fallen into a bottleneck. I want to make a breakthrough, so I'm looking for an expert to help me. I wonder whether you would like to teach me some moves, Huang Fu Hao said. Just as I expected. Jian Wushuang could not help but smile. He knew Huang Fu Hao just used his bottleneck as an excuse and that his real purpose was to challenge him. Sure. Jian Wushuang accepted his challenge without hesitation. Thanks, Huang Fu Hao said while raising his head. A surge of an overwhelming aura rose from his body, just a bit weaker than Lei Yun's. Huang Fu Hao is famous in the Iron Saber Army. Though he's an ordinary sergeant at Stage 1, he is still one of the strongest and almost has Stage 2 strength. You should be careful. Don't lose, Lei Dao warned in a friendly manner. Don't worry. Jian Wushuang wore a slight smile and looked confident. Commander Swordsman, please. Huang Fu Hao's eyes became fierce as if he were a ferocious beast. Show your move, Jian Wushuang said. Whoosh. The void before Jian Wushuang suddenly split. Huang Fu Hao dashed toward him like a bull, with a heavy sword in his hand. The sword weighed over 5,000 kilograms at least. Shua! A streak of sword light flashed through the air, causing peculiar waves to spread out. Jian Wushuang stood there as if he did not see it, and let it strike at him. The sword light directly flashed through his body, but no blood flowed. Residual shadow. Huang Fu Hao was a bit surprised. Meanwhile, a gust of wind swept toward him. Huang Fu Hao immediately turned his head and found his opponent standing beside him and striking a blow toward his face. He moved his body and suddenly opened his mouth, letting out a roar. The roar belonged to an attack of sound waves. Though it was not powerful enough, it could stop Jian Wushuang for a second. Then Huang Fu Hao could take advantage of it to parry the attack with his heavy sword. You do possess some strength. Jian Wushuang nodded in private. Then he stepped backward. At this moment, Huang Fu Hao had changed into a furious lion and darted forward. He waved his sword while chasing. The heavy sword emitted overwhelming power. With the force of gale and thunderbolt, Jian Wushuang changed into a bolt of lightning and easily flashed across the sky. His opponent's crazy attack could not hurt him. Commander Swordsman, you're an expert at Stage 2. You're just running? Huang Fu Hao said angrily. Oh. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows and laughed. Since you said that, I won't run. Jian Wushuang stopped. Then a surge of great power gathered in his hands and changed into a giant punch, lashing out as if a volcano which had been dormant for billions of years suddenly erupted. Pang! The punch collided with Huang Fu Hao's sword, causing an overwhelming power to spread. Huang Fu Hao's expression changed while he felt a tingling sensation in his whole arm. Pang! 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 Jian Wushuang launched several attacks. Each of his punches, full of billions of kilograms of strength, landed on his opponent's heavy sword and forced him to retreat. The last punch directly blew Huang Fu Hao's sword away. You lost. Jian Wushuang stood there while calmly looking at his opponent. A large number of sergeants, who witnessed this fight, could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. How powerful! He defeated Huang Fu Hao only using his strength. He lives up to his title as a commander. The sergeants praised Jian Wushuang. Lei Dao narrowed his eyes while staring at Jian Wushuang. Huang Fu Hao is close to stage 2 battle strength. But Swordsman could beat him with pure strength. He is so strong. I didn't feel that when sparring with him. He did not know that Jian Wushuang previously hid his real strength and just used the strength activated by spiritual power. Though it just came from spiritual power, his strength was still greater than that of an ordinary expert at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. But during the fight with Huang Fu Hao, he not only activated strength from his spiritual power to its limit, but also strength from his powerful body. Therefore, he was much stronger than experts at the pinnacle of the Saint Realm. That was why he could defeat Huang Fu Hao only using his strength.